We are continuing with the article, The Restless Mind.
Yes, so the first slide here, from instinct to reason. We should not live at the level of instinct. Some people are so impulsive that they jump forward without thinking. Bernard Shaw said, nowadays people don't think. I think twice a week, and that is why I'm internationally famous. Characteristic humor. We must think well. We can also reason. We can remember the important things that happened last year. If last year during this period there was a drought, we know that we have to take precautions to face it in this year. That is how we reason. Animals cannot do that. If we do not use our reasoning power, we will be just like animals. The definition for man is an intelligent animal. The animal nature is in us, but we also have the power of intelligence. That is a big difference. We must use that and make life more beautiful, peaceful for ourselves and the world. All the power for that is in the mind.
Yeah, our mind is so powerful. We don't realize how much power, strength there is in the mind. We use only very tiny fraction of the capacity of the mind. When we, all the people who, students or those who are working in their offices, and they had to meet the deadline, where does the capacity and energy come from? We say, oh, I can't do that. My mind is so tired or weak. But we are able to do it. We do it. There's a lot of energy potential there. We have to bring it out. And also, the living on the instinct level is just on the topmost surface. We have to go deep. Then when you go deep, then we reason, analyze, more strength comes, more power comes from the mind. That's why we are stronger than animals and birds. See, animals have got claws and teeth to catch prey. They can run fast. We don't have all this capacity. The birds can fly. They have got beak. We don't have but we are, compared to them, physically, we may be weaker, but we have got intelligence. We can use our brain. We can use, and that's why we are stronger than the animals and the birds. We are controlling the whole environment because we have got intelligence. We use our brain, we use our mind. And if you don't use that, then we are no better than animals. We just really on the sense level, eating, drinking, procreating, that's it. The animals also do that. There's a Sanskrit verse which says, anger, fear, and procreation is all common for humans and animals. The only distinctive character is for the human being is righteousness, reasoning power. If we don't use that, then we are no better than animals. Do we want to remain an animal or be a real human being? Then slowly rise up to the level of the divine. It's up to us. The choice is up to us. Nobody is forcing us. You can remain as an animal, go down with a human body and animal mind inside. Or you can have a human body and a divine mind. Up to us.
The fear thing, we notice with the birds and the animals, the eyes are on more towards the side of the head.
Yeah.
Than always having to scan the surroundings. always there's this fear.
Yeah.
We're the ones with the eyes looking straight ahead.
And they have always afraid some prey may come, catch. We have this bird bath in our backyard, and the birds sit there, not a second they sit quietly, looking this way, this way, this way. My goodness. Nobody's anywhere near. We don't have any dogs, cats, nothing. Still, they're so afraid. Fear is a great thing for animals. We also got, not that we should not be blindly fearless, but that's foolishly fearless. But the reasonable fears we should have. Just because I'm fearless and seeing a tiger, what's a poisonous snake coming, you go towards that saying I'm fearless. That's foolishness. But unnecessary fear, you should not have. There's no need.
Although we like, as it's highlighting here, we like to highlight how we're top of the creation of living species, and yet it's remarkable how self-destructive we can be, and how we don't learn lessons of history. We repeat the same mistakes. We are only vaguely or spasmodically maybe rational.
Yeah, that is it applies really what Bernard Shaw said. We don't think. We are living we are so egoistic. We are so narcissistic. We are all concerned with myself. How much more I can have. And our greed goes on. And so we destroy the whole thing, everything, the environment, the surroundings.
Now, I was reading a book some years ago, and they recorded the reflections of the astronauts who have viewed Earth from space. And one of the things that kept coming up, they realized, even though we living here have a sense of how vast and big this planet is, when they viewed it from space, saw that there's a fragility there, and they could clearly see the impact that humanity has had on the Earth in various parts of the Earth as it's spinning around. So they had the impression we are a little bit blasé about just how much is here, how much impact we're having, and that fragility, or at least it's the fragility of it to be able to sustain our life.
Yeah.
That was enforced.
But those who are
perspective.
Exploiting the environment, they are not thinking about the future generation. They are thinking concerned about themselves. So how they're trying to get maximum benefit, not benefit actually, maximum wealth from the environment, from the earth, from the universe. And what happens to the rest of the humanity, they don't care. Now, once the earth is become uninhabitable, then we can go to other planets. That's trying to do that. Go to Mars or Venus or wherever they think.
Ajayaprana, you said in that title, from instinct to reason, but reason could also lead to instinct, because you cultivate higher functions and higher cognitive abilities. Like, for example, if you get up to meditate, every day, it becomes an automatic response. So is instinct really just a name for automation of, activities that you do on a daily basis? And those activities could also be something higher rather than just at the level of an animal.
Reason will include instinct. Not that it excludes instinct. Including instinct comes up reason. But this, your meditation is sitting there, that has become habit because you have trained your body. and the mind. So at that particular time, your body and mind are tuned towards that, and automatically feels, oh, this is, and mind calms down. And we cannot call that instinct, because it is a result of your training. Hmm. Hmm. If you haven't trained, it wouldn't have happened.
You called instinct. There is untrained activity that's spontaneous without
Yes.
any.
From from birth it comes without any training. As they say, ducklings, even if they're going with chicken, as soon as they see water, they'll jump into the water. Nobody trained them. Whereas meditation, we train. Naturally, if you don't train, you won't sit. You don't feel that. It's a sort of practice. That's different. It's not instinct.
So that's habit, not instinct.
Yes.
And meditation done consciously with alertness will not allow you to sink in the subconscious instinct. With your conscious thinking, with conscious reasoning, with meditation, higher channels are opened. So it will, for all the outside purpose, it might look like an instinct. Like, for example, you start a harmonium or a piano with all consciously we do it. Later on, when it becomes habit, we are just not aware. It just becomes, we do it without much effort. So also, even in the meditation also, and that you may call it, it becomes almost instinctive. You may be talking, but your readings will be correct, everything. You may call that as instinctive thing. But when meditation comes, when it doesn't, it closes the lower gates and opens the higher channels. So even though from outside it looks like meditation, say at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, the mind tends to become calm. If you put on the TV, something, you can't stand it. You turn it off because now the mind has got used to meditation. But it has opened the higher channel. So outwardly, even if it looks like practice, conscious practice, you can't call it as instinct. Conscious practice has got tendency sometimes to come low, but this is higher channels are opened, higher gates are opened. So you can't call it as instinct. It doesn't come to that level. It goes up. Yes.
So we may go to the next slide if there's no more discussion on this one. Unifying the mind. How do we know we have got a mind? Can anybody tell me where thinking happens? How do we know that we think with the mind? Mind divides itself into two, the observer and the observed, the spectator and the spectacle, the audience and the actors. That is how, when we sit for meditation, we understand that the mind is restless. One part of the mind remains quiet, unmoving, observing, and the other part jumps around. We are aware that the other part is jumping and skipping around because one part of the mind observes the other. Through meditation and yoga, we seek to unify the two parts to become the one that is observing. When this happens, there is calmness, serenity, tranquility, and quietude. That is the aim of meditation.
The mind divides into two parts, observer and observed. We all know when we sit for meditation, the mind wanders away. But if you are not alert, many times you don't even realize that the mind has wandered away. After some time, suddenly we realize, oh, what am I thinking? I'm supposed to think about God or higher ideas, and I'm thinking about something else. The mind has gone away. That mind has wandered away. that is the observers was not doing the work. Observer hasn't, this observer was not alert. Observer part of the mind was not alert to catch the mind, that the other observed part has gone away. So we had to be alert to make it the two together, the observer and the observed. Most of the time, we are not alert. We have to be aware. And earlier in the last book club, we read the passage from. In the passage, there was that imitation of Christ says two wonderful words. It says, in the imitation of Christ, there are two wonderful words: alertness and awareness. Be alert as to what is going on inside you, and be aware of your surroundings, and yourself. Be alert as to what is going on inside you. The mind is going and reliving some past experience, and we are enjoying the drama. We are not alert. The observer has gone to sleep. No, we have to be alert. Then we know, and we can catch the mind and bring it back. Sri Krishna says in the Gita, for whatever reason the mind wanders away, step by step, bring it back, again and again. Because mind wandering away it's a common thing, happens to everybody. Nobody can escape that. Whoever tries to fix the mind on a higher ideal goes through this difficulty. The mind wanders away. So that's why Arjuna said it's so difficult to control the mind. Sri Krishna said, yes, but you can do it through practice. That's the only way. There's no other way. Patanjali says the same thing, practice. Practice and dispassion. These are the two means to get the mind back and fix it on the high ideal. For that, first we had to understand that the mind has gone away. For that, we had to be alert. So we had to be alert of what's happening within us. Then we will be able to find out the mind has wandered away, bring it back, and slowly, slowly make the mind whole, unite. The observer part and observer both becomes one. And that is happening through yoga and meditation. It's a long practice. It cannot happen. It doesn't happen in a few months or few years. No, it's a long practice. Because we have allowed the mind to wander as freely as it wanted for how many lives we don't know. And suddenly you are trying to catch it. No, it will rebel. So we have to slowly. Sri Krishna says, Shanai, little by little, bring it back, again and again, bring it back. Then slowly it will learn to sit there.
Well, just reading this, I think we can narrow it down to two most important things we've got to do is learn how to become more proficient in being able to observe the mind, as we're going about our daily life, not getting swept along by the thoughts and feelings, being more in control. And then on the other hand, developing the power of concentrating the mind. That's what's central to meditation.
Yeah, we have got the power of concentration on things that we like. At present, see, if you are reading an interesting book, watching some interesting thing on the television, we don't hear the phone, somebody calls you, we don't hear. The phone rings, we don't hear. The doorbell rings, we don't hear. Because you're concentrated on that. But when it comes to meditation, because it's not so important for us, we have to make it the most important thing in my life. Priority. Then we will be able to concentrate fully, because we have got the power of concentration. Not that we don't have the power of concentration. We have to give it the right object of concentration. Have the object of concentration be the right one, the higher ideal.
That characterizes pretty well anyone who's very successful, even in a worldly sense, any really creative people, successfully creative people, I think that's the common factor they all have. They have great power of concentration.
Yes.
I think you'd find that.
Pravrajika, you said there was two characteristics that you need when it comes to making a distinction between the observer and the observed, and that's being awareness and
Alertness.
alertness, dispassion. How does
No,
that-
dispassion is for to control the, bring the mind back.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, so that's what you mean.
Dispassion and practice go together. To have that dispassion, to continue with the practice, the mind has to know that the mind has wandered away. You have to be alert and be aware what's happening within the mind.
Distraction here means detachment. That is, certain things are very drawing for us. They draw our attention too much that we can't concentrate. At that time, we apply this, what is called as instinctive. So the instinct is drawing the conscious mind. But through reason, we can give suggestions to mind. But one thing about all the trouble the mind gives, it is very susceptible to suggestions. So constant, that is why Viveka is used. Viveka, keep on discriminating, keep on reasoning, keep on discerning. The mind slowly, it sinks in. That's the good thing about the mind. That is why we are asked to give suggestions, especially when the mind is going from the conscious level to unconscious level. That's why they say when you go to sleep, before going into sleep, think in, what do you call, in the Atmic level. That way, impersonal aspect of your personality. If you think in that and go to sleep, those ideas go deep into your unconscious, and then it makes a change in the unconscious. The very substance or the content of this unconscious slowly gets changed. So that through reason, that's called as detachment. Through reason, we make the mind to detach itself from the what was very interesting and absorbing for it. Abhyasa and detachment. Dispassion in our sense, in general sense, it's detachment.
Ajayaprana, you know how you said that when you're meditating, a lot of it, your focus becomes stronger if you have an interest in something. But when you're actually meditating, you're trying to keep your mind on an object. It could be spiritual, but it can get a bit dull because you're trying to keep something, at least for me anyway, like you're trying your hardest to put your mind on an object. But at the same time, your mind tends to drift away despite, is that because you're not interested enough in that object?
Yes, because we are not interested enough. That is why to create more interest, we say there is the meditation on the qualities. So it takes one quality of your chosen ideal or one incident from the life of the chosen ideal. So because we have got of the incarnations, we have given the life stories are there. Take one incident from that life and think about it. So the mind has got something interesting to think.
You associate it with the image that you...
Yes, because it is associated with that particular form of God or particular, what's that, aspect of the personal deity. Say Sri Ramakrishna. Take one incident from life of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna, just looking at Sri Ramakrishna, thinking about form of Sri Ramakrishna, not very interesting, not very attractive. But take one incident from the life and think about it. Slowly, the mind will find more and more interest in that, more attracted towards thinking about the form.
Just noting that Ben, who's joined by Zoom, he's making some comments. I'll just read that out. Namaste, Mataji and everyone. Some meditators say that to help us meditate, we should develop a keen interest, almost like a slight enthusiasm, in our meditation object, such as with meditating on the breath. We should be curious in the subtlety of the air entering and leaving our nostrils, noticing the subtlety of the air being slightly warmer and coming into the nostrils and slightly cooler when leaving the nostrils. Be investigative and curious and focused. That is related to Mataji's comment that we focus on things naturally when we are interested in.
Yes.
Well, these are all good aids. They're all
Yes.
good aids. We know now that this is all part of the meditative techniques
Yes.
that people employ to help us.
All this is just to create interest in it. Yeah.
Then there's another comment, a little from this slide and the previous slide. Even our reasoning power seems to be highly limited. Our ability to reason fully and comprehensively is limited by ability, biases, prejudices, emotions, ego, preferences, discernments, intelligence, situation, environment, amongst many others. Does yoga elevate our reasoning ability, or does yoga allow us to diminish those factors, such as those mentioned previously, which inhibit our reasoning ability? Or does yoga elevate our ability to go beyond even our reasoning ability? Or is it a little of everything, or something completely different? My goodness, Ben, you're posing a lot of questions there.
Yeah. Yoga helps us to reduce those biases, prejudices, etc. So our reasoning capacity increases. And then it goes beyond the reasoning. You practice yoga and meditation. First, it overcomes those biases and which inhibits the reasoning power, and then it helps takes us beyond reasoning power towards intuition.
Look, by the way, Vin, we can hear you if you want to actually, if you've got any further comments or questions, we'll be able to hear you if you unmute yourself. I'm allowing you to speak, and anyone else on Zoom. So if we have any more comments on this, otherwise we go to the next slide. Got a fair few slides to go through. A time of rage and race. Of the resolute, the buddhi is single, and of the irresolute, the buddhi is many-branched, says Bhagavad Gita. However, when we concentrate properly, it becomes one-pointed. When our mind travels around, it then becomes restless. We do not give ample attention to the mind to settle on one thing. Today's world is a time of rage and race. We are all in a hurry. It's the Iron Age for the Western world, given their way of life and their dependence on that metal. India looks at the age from a psychological standpoint. We call it the Kali Yuga. Kali means extreme anger. Now is the age of extreme anger. In the West, psychology, philosophy, and religion are separate from one another, but all these go together in India. There is no line of demarcation between any of them. If you are religious, then you are philosophical, psychologically keener, and astute. Religion practiced in such a way ensures the mind is kept under control as far as possible.
See the first one, the Gita verse. Vyavasayatmika buddhirekeha kurunandana. Bahishakha hyanandasya buddhayo avyavasayina. The resolute. The buddhi is single. The mind, intellect is all one point. So when it is concentrated, it gives a lot of power. Whereas for the irresolute, the mind wanders in 100 ways. See, we all know how there is heat in sunlight, but if you just stand out in the sun or keep some paper or cotton wool, nothing happens. We all studied in the school. We had this. You keep a piece of cotton wool and hold the lens about it, over it. After some time, it burns. Where did the power come from? You remove the lens. If you don't keep the lens, it stays there. Nothing happens. But keep the lens, and after some time, the cotton wool burns because the rays are concentrated, and heat comes. A mind has got its power like that. If you are concentrating fully, one-pointed mind, there's got great power, great energy, strength, like the X-rays, can penetrate through anything. The power of the mind is much greater than the power of X-rays or even nuclear power. How did it come? Nuclear power founded or brought out by the human mind. The power of human mind is great. And that comes when we are concentrating, putting in one point. But if it is scattered, nothing happens. We go on floating through life. Something good happens, happiness comes. We are happy. And then the pendulum sinks to the other extreme. We are unhappy. Just float through life. Nothing happens. Then because the mind is restless, is scattered. That is why Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra speaks about two states of the mind: concentrated state, scattered state. Our aim is to bring our mind from the scattered state, where what is the present state of our mind, to the concentrated state. And look at the next item, next one, rage, that we can see all the time, everywhere. You just look around, everybody's angry, angry, angry. Why are you so angry? For what reason? Maybe some small reason, but you take out your anger on the first person that you meet. You are angry with yourself, you are angry at home, but with somebody at home, then something happened, and the anger is shown to the driver in front of you. Road rage. All this because the mind is so restless. We have to consciously try to calm our mind. This meditation and prayer helps a lot. In prayer, what are we doing? We are seeking God's help to improve ourselves. If I'm aware that I got this problem of anger, I have to manage my anger. Well, if you go to counselors and psychologists and all that, but they can help you maybe to a certain extent. You can also help yourself by your prayer and meditation. Not that you're meditating when you are in the midst of anger. No, your mind won't settle down, and at that time, whatever you're concentrating on, that increases. So when you are in a rage, that's not the time for meditation. That's the time for some physical activity through which you bring out that negative emotion. Yeah, for a good walk, or go out to the garden and dig up the weeds. One day in Adelaide, I remember one of the talks, I said this, and then one person commented, "Oh, then our garden the garden beds all will be clean." But afterwards, when you calm down a little, just go for a walk. And leave the situation where you are, the surroundings, where you got angry, because the angry vibrations are there. Just leave the room. If you can't go out and go for a walk, just leave the room. Because you're remaining in that situation, the vibrations and the angry vibrations are there. It is affecting you more and more. Just get out of the room. And going out in the garden or for a walk, especially if you got a park or something, you are getting into the nature. Then slowly the mind calms down. Then come back and sit for meditation.
Yeah, well, I think part of what's also fueling this rage and race, I love what one great American thinker said. He said, this is the age of rising expectations,
Yes.
that we've never had so much access to this level of standard of living and the opportunities we have, the comforts we have. And then what's happened? We just expect even more. We got, and when anything gets in the way of that, that's helping to provoke this
Yes.
this rage, this sense of entitlement.
Shri Krishna says in the Gita, whatever the things you desire, you don't get, you get angry, and then with anger, your mind is clouded, you're not able to think properly, and then slowly you go down, and at least he says, Buddhi nashat pranasati, your intelligence is destroyed, and that leads to complete ruin. We often hear that people doing something in the fit of anger and then repent, but deed is done. You cannot reverse it. More we have comforts, we demand more. We actually we demand, yes, not just try to secure that comforts, no, or try to gain by my effort. No, I demand. It's my right. Well, others also got the right. No. You can have your rights, you can have your comforts, but don't deny the comforts to others also. The small portion of the whole humanity is enjoying all the comforts, all the luxuries, and the greater part of the humanity is suffering. We don't care for them.
I was just thinking that the rising expectations, you only have to look at, say, building plastic model aeroplanes, which I do. A long time ago, you had simple, basic kits that you were quite happy to put together, and it was fun. And now, with computer-controlled mold-making machines and resin casting and stuff, the amount of detail that now sits in a model is just, it's mind-blowing. And then you watch the videos of the master builders putting them together, and you think, I should do this. And you go, and then of course, and suddenly you go, oh, I don't get to this level, and the joy drops off. And you say, oh, hang on, this is meant to be fun. And so the rising expectations, it's just, it almost becomes, well, hang on a minute, aren't we supposed to enjoy this? So it's an example of where,
Yes.
and it's interactive. The kits get better, but then there's the videos that show you all about it, and it can elevate your work, and so you sort of go, oh yeah, I can do that, and that, and so you can bring your skill level up, which can be fun, but it can also go the other way.
Yes.
That's Pravrajika. There was just recently I had expectations and desires, and so I went to the shop to buy myself, see if I can get a bigger iPad than the one that I needed, because it was a small one and I couldn't see. But you would think that you'd go, and in fact, if anything, the salesman said, "You don't need one."
Why?
He goes,
He's not a good salesman
no,
then.
he said, you don't need it because it's good enough for you. And he says, it's an itch that you needed to scratch. And after, and so he said, no, you don't need it. You can go. And so, yeah, sometimes you do think you need something, but sometimes you also find, I don't know if he was honest or dishonest, but he didn't think I needed it. So there are some.
And we should be thankful to such
Yes.
salesmen. Usually they will try to sell us things which we don't need, saying that this is the most important thing that you have to buy.
So what would you do to at least, I know I intellectually understand what you need to do to curb these desires, but what's some practical advice that people can generally apply in their daily lives to be able to?
You have You think, really ask yourself, do I really need it? Instead of going and straight away trying to go to the shop and buy it, keep thinking about it. Do I really need it? Ask yourself again and again, say for a week, and then go and, if you're still thinking that I need it, then go and get it.
Regarding Vedanta itself, about the discernment. And the person says, um, his wife wants beautiful sandals, slippers or something. He says, you see, you have to discriminate, you have to discern. You have got only one pair of feet. How many will you wear? One pair of feet doesn't need 10 pairs of sandals. True. So you have to reason out. So I got only one pair. Supposing, imagine he had 4 pairs of leg, how it would be. So making fun of the Vedanta, the jokes also about Vedanta. So we have got to apply reason. Right? The reason is the only thing. Always reason is a great thing. As long as we experience, reason is the only divine. We have to practice it. We have to take refuge in reason. Buddhi yogam upash, he says. Buddhi yogam upashritya. Take refuge in the Buddhi yoga, in the reason.
Back to model airplanes, which is always works as a good example. So many wonderful kits come out and you go, oh, gee, I'd like to have that. Oh, yeah, or that. And then you find them in Japan, the prices are really low and you go, oh, ship them out. And you go, hang on a minute, just pause, wait. And I find that actually helps. Just the stopping. Then you have to think, well, if I have these boxes, more boxes, where do I put them? That's one constraint. And you go, okay. And then I actually do some research. You find out you can download the instructions for that kit and have a look at how complex it will be to build. And then you start looking at it and you're going, oh, this is becoming less and less interesting all the time. And so you just wait, put it to one side, and then 2 weeks later you go, you've lost interest. So the interest seems to be the moment you see it, you've got to have it. So then you go, no, just step back and wait, and see what happens in a week or two. And so you don't rush into it. And I find that actually, for me at least, the interest dissipates. And you go, good. Yes. And I mean, I can be tempted. You go, oh, that looks fabulous. Look at that. And but I've already got 2 of these. Why do I need another one? And there may be a reason in that if you're trying to build a collection a certain way, then that might be a key part that you want. But to just simply get it because it looks nice, no, that's a good reason for just pause and wait.
Yeah, that's what what happens with most people. Oh, that's a nice dress. I want it. Then it becomes, I must have it.
Yeah.
At whatever cost. Even if I have to borrow money, take a loan from the bank, no, I must have it. Well, not for a dress, I mean, but for bigger things.
There was one manufacturer brought out a particular version of a plane that was supposed to be the best kit that had ever been done in that plane. You go, ooh, that was really interesting. And then somebody did some research and lined up, like they put rivets, all the little rivets that were on the plane holding the panels together are all reproduced, except on this U-Butte fabulous kit, they're all in the wrong place. And you go, oh, forget about it. Kill a mistake.
Right, we better move on to the next slide. There's a comment in the chat there. I'll just see. Oh my goodness. Your explanation of leaving the room when angry reminds me of the story Shiva in the midst of large offering to the gods with various devotees, sages, Brahmins, etc. To my understanding, the story goes that Shiva's non-action created great insult to the king who the offering was for, which created anger amongst Shiva's devotees and the king's devotees. In the end, Shiva just left the ceremony, but the arguments continue. It helps me understand that when anger or conflicting thoughts arise within my own mind, or when I am against others or others are against me, that the best thing to do is to simply remain calm, to not engage in the inner turmoil, to remain unaffected by it, and to leave it behind.
Yeah, that's a good thing. If you're having an argument with somebody somebody is saying something, you keep on answering, and it go increase. But if you can keep quiet, it helps a lot to uh, not from blowing out of proportion, and also bring the situation to an end quicker. Because you are not responding, the one person is going on saying, how long will the person say? We need both hands to make the clapping sound. Only one hand, after some time, it stops. That person may get annoyed. Why are you not answering? Why are you not replying? Still you keep quiet. Then it will stop.
Now we'll go to the next slide. Like the oak, firm and deep. When things get out of control, these people know how to handle the situation. They aren't egoistic, they are humble. They remain in a state which the Gita describes as, once established in that high state, even the mightiest difficulties will not be able to shake them. They become like the oak tree because they have no ambitions or aspirations. They have no fears or expectations. These are the things which make the mind choppy and restless. The oak tree is subjected to all kinds of difficulties during a storm. The branches break, all the leaves are torn away, but the oak tree cannot be uprooted. The greater the disturbance during the storm, the deeper it digs into the soil. The roots dig deeper and deeper, and the tree becomes firmer. The storm cannot do anything to the oak tree.
It's completely different from our eucalyptus. First storm, eucalyptus topples down, whereas the oak tree goes deeper and deeper. Yeah. So that's the difference between ordinary people and those people who are deep into meditation and yoga, spiritual practices. When difficulties come, difficulties will come to everybody. Nobody can avoid difficulties. People often ask, I have been praying to God, I have been doing all these spiritual practices. Why did this happen to me? Why did this illness come to me? No, that's a part of the life. The difficulties, the problems, disease, illness, all this happen because we have got a body, we are living in this body, it will happen. That has got nothing to do with you are doing spiritual practices. But difficulties when it comes, you turn to God and learn to hold on to God with greater strength. If you are just holding casually, doing just a little bit of spiritual practices, but then difficulties come, you hold on to God with greater strength because you realize that there's nobody else who can help you. All the friends, relatives, doctors, nobody can really do anything when you are sick. You are the one who is going to do the suffering, go through the suffering, difficult problems. They can only give suggestions or do something, but real suffering is for you. Nobody can do. Then you turn to God. Then the suffering in the body will be there. The problems of the will be there, but your mind will be calmer. You'll be able to go through those things with a better state of mind, without being too disturbed. Problems will come. Problems, human life means problems. But these problems make us stronger, should make us stronger. And for that, from early days, if we are exposed to some sort of little bit of problems, difficulties, as from the young age as children, then slowly we will learn to face problems. Life will be full of problems. Life is never smooth. So then we will be turning from the eucalyptus tree to oak tree.
Now, I've been reading about Kali because we've got the Kali Puja coming up. So all the rich symbology and all the wonderful things she signifies, and that kind of stormy thing, the storms in life. She's a great representation of the of that stormy aspect of nature and life.
Yeah.
And how, yeah, it's reminded me, this slide of that, how we,
And at the same time, there is the other benign aspect also is there. Her two hands are showing protection and wounds. So in life, in the universe, everything is, both are together. Difficulties, problems, negative and positive go together.
well, I think she's encouraging us to be heroic. We even embrace it.
Yeah.
We don't try to shrink from it. We face it head on, almost revel in it, and do our best to grow from it. I love that aspect of her. It gives us courage.
Yes.
So, any more comments on this one? We move on. Becoming young again. In Adelaide, a few years ago, there was a terrible bushfire. Many bush animals were killed because they could not escape. Many people were also injured, and many homes were burnt in the sudden blaze. As soon as the fire died down, a terrible storm and downpour came that killed many other living animals. 3 months later, when I went to Adelaide, a devotee took us around the bush area where the fire had taken place. It was an astonishing sight. The Australian bush is composed of eucalyptus trees, and these trees grow up as a straight trunk to a certain height, and then the branches come. The bushfire burnt the trunks, but small sprouts had come up from the tree's base after the downpour. The trees were covered with sprouts from the ground upwards, as though the trees had become young again.
This we had happened here also in Sydney. We had the bushfire in 2019, and then the rain and the floods, exactly just before COVID, one after another. Yeah, first we had the fire, then the flood, and then COVID came. We learn from all that. And if we are careful, if we are ready to learn, then we become stronger. We come out on the other side stronger, better. Physically, we go through difficulties, but we mentally we come out stronger.
Take the lesson from the Australian bush that
Yeah.
it's been subjected to regular fires, either naturally or the Aboriginals would set fire in a controlled way. But I love that idea that actually the bush has adapted to that so much that it actually, some plants actually need fire to germinate.
Yes.
Now.
Banksia and other plants, the pods spread, come out when they through the fire. There is no fire, they don't open, the pods won't open and they germinate.
So I guess lesson for us, we don't invite trouble into our lives, but when trouble comes or challenges come, then we could be
Face it.
positive about it. Think, oh, good, here's another chance to grow.
Yeah.
And learn and become more resilient.
And running away from problems, they'll come after you. So we have to face them. As Swamiji was told, face the brute. Problems are brute, we have to face them. And if you wait for them to come to us or run away, they will become bigger and bigger. And rather, as soon as you realize there's a problem coming, go halfway through and meet them before it becomes too big. Just like a sapling, we can pull it out, but becomes a big tree. We can't, we need all the machines to cut it down. So in the early days of problems, go forward and meet them. Become stronger, and that will teach us also to become more stronger and more resilient.
Sometimes, Ajayaprana, like when you're facing problems and you're trying to seek solutions and you get and you're going hard at it. But there's also times that you need to let go as well. And when do you make that decision, and how would you keep that in your mind.
Let go of what?
Sometimes when you're trying to find a solution to the problem
Oh,
and some of the pathways that you take to try and solve it isn't working, but sometimes you get so deep and enmeshed in it, it's very hard to see the way forward, you know, but you need to sometimes let go and try again.
you reason it out. We have got the reasoning power. Analyze and find out what can be done. And when you find no solution, no way out, then it's the time for you to surrender and take refuge in God. Say, I have tried all these different avenues. I have tried all that I know, but I can't find a solution. Now it's up to you. Do what is best for me. Don't say, give me this or that, because you don't know what, you haven't been able to find out the right path, right way out of the problem. So surrender to God, saying, please do what is best for me.
Another comment, question from Vin. Just, I'll get that open. Just on the previous comments regarding Kali, specifically the idea of Kali Yuga and the practice of devotion to Kali. Is there a relationship, and if so, can you explain? They seem almost contradictory but related. Is one the age, the time, and the other the way out of it?
Yeah. See, in English, we wrote both write Kali, but in Sanskrit, Kali is different and Kali is different. Kali Yuga is what we translate as Iron Age. Maharaji said it's the age of race. Kali means anger. But Kali is different. Kali is the name of the time. Kali is related from time. Kala, from there it came the word Kali, power of time.
And from that comes the word calendar.
Yeah. Time, yes.
Yeah.
Calendar is the division of time, yes.
All right, we've got one more. Oh, another comment there. Ah, that makes sense. Thanks. Very good, Vin. We're happy if you're happy. Okay. Great thinkers humor. This is what happens when the mind is kept under control. Difficulties will come, catastrophes will come, but the one with a controlled mind knows how to withstand the shock. The word catastrophe reminds me of an incident between two mighty figures in the British Parliament, Gladstone, the Prime Minister, and Disraeli, the opposition leader. A discussion came up about the difference between disaster and catastrophe. The parliamentary members came up with many explanations. Then Disraeli stood up and said, if by chance the Prime Minister falls into the Thames, it will be a catastrophe, but it will be a disaster if somebody saves him. Both of them enjoyed it. The Prime Minister also laughed with them. They enjoyed it because they were great intellectuals and knew that these things would not touch them and would not touch their position. In such cases, these great thinkers were not insulted. I admire the greatness of their thinking.
I actually think it's the quality of the wit that applies in that that's well done. And so you can enjoy the quality of what is said. And so it doesn't, you're not offended because, you know, well, if you're going to insult me, at least make it a quality insult so that we can all enjoy it, not some low grade insult. Make it worthwhile. Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind a quality insult. Please, you know, employ quality if you're going to insult me, not just that low grade rubbish.
See, these people know that just because they are insulting you, you won't be affected. If somebody calls me a fool and I get really upset and angry and annoyed, I prove myself to be a fool. If I just don't bother, Well, that person called me a fool. That does not make me a fool. Then that person is a fool, not me. But if we react immediately, that's what happens with us. Immediately we react. How dare the person call me a fool? I'm so intelligent, um, sensible person, and the person had the audacity to call me a fool. I prove myself to be a fool by behaving like that. Well, that shows that person's capability. What's that to me? Then that person becomes a fool. So we have to keep our mind, try to keep the mind on a higher level. Don't let it be swayed by what other people say. There's no need for us to stay in other people's mind and words. What is that person going to think about me? What's that person saying about me? I live my life properly according to my ideals. Hold on to the ideals and keep the ideal high. Don't bring down the ideal. You may not be always able to keep up reach the high ideal, but still we try. We have to keep the ideal high and strive towards that.
All right, so I think
Okay, now we have got the meditation.
more questions.
We'll continue with this next time.
Next month. Few announcements. We have the yoga class this Thursday. This coming Friday night, we have the spiritual evening discussion led by Ajayaprana. Next Sunday, we have the monthly talk on Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna with an introduction by Ajayaprana and the talk by Ajayaprana, and there'll be a guided meditation. On Sunday, 3rd of November, 2 weeks' time, we'll have the Kali Puja celebration, and we'll have talks by Swaminathan, Vishwanathan, and Ajayaprana. And we really do look forward to having Tanim Hayat Khan with us again, master sarod player. He'll perform, and there'll be a candlelight offering ceremony to Kali, led by the nuns. And you bring some sweets or savories to offer, please. And now we'll conclude with the guided meditation. I'll the guided meditation, just a bit of setting up.